So it's quite popular for MGTOW to say, instead of spending money on women, spend it on hobbies. Now, this works great for people with a hedonistic mindset, but it does not work for everyone. And to that end, I will divide men into three completely arbitrary groups. Firstly, hedonists, for which the hobby strategy works. Secondly, creators. This is those who desire to perpetuate something beyond themselves. And number three, helpers, who want to make the world better for other people. Now, each of these groups has their own blue pill method of satisfaction. Hedonists are PUAs. Now, if you use it for self-validation, then I would say that does make you blue pill. But if you consider PUA as a hobby, such as a sport, then this wouldn't make you blue pill, but it is getting increasingly dangerous. Creators like to be fathers. Obviously, in a blue pill world, the thing they create are children and families. This is still possible, albeit difficult to do in a gynocentric world through surrogacy, but I would like to offer some alternatives. Helpers are manginas, essentially. However, if you have a helper mentality, that does not necessarily mean you cannot be MGTOW. You can still help other people, but perhaps you can help people in a way that does not screw you over, and in a way that actually helps people who are grateful for your help. Now, obviously, there's not too much need to talk about hedonists. However, I will talk about ways that creators and helpers can satisfy their purpose in life in a gynocentric world. So I'll probably split this video up later to be their own videos. But let's get started with creators. I am a creator. For me specifically, I need to create something with the following criteria. Firstly, and most importantly, it must be able to perpetuate beyond myself, and even perpetuate beyond itself. Secondly, it will consume a lot of time and energy, because I need something to put these things into. Thirdly, putting in money is not necessary, but it will speed it up. And this is because I need something to sink my excess money into, because I want to use it, but I don't want to have some kind of need to invest money. And fourthly, while you can influence and guide it, it will ultimately seek its own path. Now, I'm not sure why this last criteria is there, but I feel it is a criteria, and this criteria is something I believe is necessary for reasons that I cannot think of right now. So this is a bit abstract, but I'm just going to move forward anyways. So the obvious example is a child. In this case, we're going to use the example of surrogacy, which is the most obvious choice for a MGTOW. And of course, the option of surrogacy, I believe, is a very attractive option. It is a bit expensive, but of course, we have money to spare, and is personally something that I'm planning on doing myself. This is simply for people who want to create something for this world, but for whatever reason, a child isn't attractive to them, but they do want to create something. Obviously, as a human being, it will perpetuate, in other words, reproduce, after you, and it will probably have children of its own. It will also consume a lot of time and energy, obviously. Putting in money is not necessary. You can always ensure that you raise your child yourself, but money does help in a lot of ways. For example, you can send the child to a private school, and this will blow a ton of money, but this means that you will be able to ensure that your child grows up a bit better. For example, if you send your child to an all-boys school, they will probably make him tradcon style blue pill, but better tradcon style blue pill, meaning that he is able and is accountable for himself and responsible, than feminist type blue pill, which basically means he's a mangina. And finally, while you can influence this child and guide this child, and it also has a bit of you, it will ultimately seek its own path in life. You won't be able to force this child to do everything that you want. You have to ensure that this child can make its own decisions. So this is the most obvious choice. There are several other choices. Firstly, a corporation. Now, I specifically mean corporations that are not 100% dependent on you personally, unlike some small businesses, and this corporation must be capable of operating without you. So firstly, corporations will be able to last beyond you. You might go public with it, you might sell it, you might entrust it to someone, and this corporation may spawn its own corporations, or the ideas created by this corporation may be adopted by other corporations. It will consume a lot of time and energy. Putting in money is not necessary because you can always put in sweat equity, but it will definitely speed it up. And finally, while you can guide the corporation to a certain extent, and drive the corporation, at the end of the day, the rules of the corporation are those of the free market. Secondly, you can create some kind of technology. So technology, it will perpetuate beyond you because people will use it in the future. And more importantly, people will take ideas from your technology and may use it to create other technologies. So this does perpetuate, although a little bit more abstractly. For example, while we don't use the steam engine very much anymore, it did propel us into the industrial age. And now we have gasoline cars, which are essentially a descendant of the steam engine. Designing something does consume a lot of time and energy, and more importantly, bringing it to market consumes even more time and energy. In some cases, putting in money is necessary because of research and development costs, but in some cases, such as software, this is not necessary. And finally, once again, while you can design this technology, at the end of the day, it will be limited by the laws of physics and also to some extent what people need and what people want and how well it fits into the world. Now, if you work for someone else, perhaps this will be less fulfilling because the creation is not entirely yours. However, in exchange for giving up some freedom, you are not only reducing your risk, but essentially allowing someone else more experienced than you to direct your skills in a direction that would better suit the world. If you are old and wise, then maybe this is not for you. But if you are young like me, then I personally do not really know what the world wants. So in addition to providing financial security, this allows me to fulfill my purpose a lot better. And it also allows me to learn a lot faster than I would had I simply set out on my own. And this will enable me to create my own ideas later on in life. And of course, even if you're young, if you're too independent-minded, then just do a startup. And finally, you can create ideas or a philosophy or a community. And this is most YouTube channels and websites. So in these channels, people will spread their ideas and their philosophy. And sometimes a community will form around these ideas or around these websites. So obviously these ideas will perpetuate beyond you. It will also consume a lot of time and energy in thinking, not only in coming up with the idea, but in also marketing, but in also presenting the idea and bringing together the community. Putting in money is not necessary because your ideas should be able to spread by their own merit, but you could speed it up with some advertising. And finally, while you can influence and guide it, it will ultimately be what the people who are learning your ideas make of it, and their interpretations of those ideas. And furthermore, it can perpetuate beyond itself as well, because your idea will probably not be the final evolution. Somebody may come up with some other thought or philosophy based upon your idea, or with your idea as influence. So if you know any other ways of fulfilling your purpose, if you are a creator type, please post it in the comments. I'm still thinking about this myself, and I'm creating this video to help other people, but I am also looking to learn myself. Now, helpers. I am not a helper, so I can't really help other MGTOW in this area, but I'm going to make this video anyways. If someone else is this kind of person, then perhaps you can make a video instead of me, and I'm sure it will be a lot better. Basically, you're a person who lives to serve others. Normally, gynocentrically, this would manifest in being a mangina. However, this is increasingly less gratifying for reasons that we are all aware of by now. Don't bitch at me for not supporting my arguments. This channel is for suggesting ideas and helping people, not for debating. Now, of course, you have all the standard stuff. You can volunteer at a charity. You can just do things that you think will help other people. But there are some more interesting things you can do, such as you can red pill men, or you can do MRA stuff. Now, as much as MGTOW like to rail against MRAs, we are not mutually exclusive. So, of course, you have MRAs that are red-pilled, but for some weird reason are still married. And I have no idea what is going through their heads. But you can be MGTOW in your personal life, but with your free time, you can try to be an MRA. I don't know what you'd be achieving because the MRAs I don't think will ever accomplish anything, but you can do that. You can also help men fight legal cases, if your skill set is applicable in that field. Otherwise, if you have extra money that you need to sink somewhere, then sink it into this. Sink it into other men's legal cases. But just make sure that this person won't run right back into the minefield after you drag them out of it. Like, make sure this person is actually red-pilled and they don't plan on getting married again. Now, keep in mind that this is not a man up and sacrifice yourself argument. This is just for people who derive satisfaction out of serving other people, and who think, how have I served other people in this life? I'm just suggesting ways of these types of people of satisfying that purpose. There's one idea I believe is special to MGTOW, which is contributing to the sex bot revolution, the artificial womb, and male contraception, and other ideas such as those. In the case of sex bots, if you are skilled in some kind of engineering, design, or computer science, you can contribute to that technology. If you are skilled in some kind of business skill, such as accounting or marketing, you can contribute it that way. And even if you're not skilled in business, a lot of business roles don't require any particular skill set. So you can just do random business administrative work and keep it smooth on the business end to cause less trouble for us engineers. If you are skilled in medicine, then contribute to research on the artificial womb or to male contraception. And of course, these projects will receive significantly less money than research on breast cancer. But the thing is, as MGTOW, we don't really have too much need for money. It's not as if we have some gold digger wife to please. So you can work this kind of job even though it pays less. Not only will this have the benefit of providing you purpose, it is also an extra middle finger to the gynocentric world. For all the talk we MGTOW do concerning sex bots and the artificial womb and male birth control, perhaps it's time that we made a concrete contribution instead of just talking about it. And there's one thing that is interesting. What is the purpose of money? The purpose of money is to be spent on something. If you keep the money until you die, then what was the point of it? You probably have enough money by this point, especially not needing to spend money on women. You are better off caring about the contribution to the world than your own income, as long as you can maintain the funding for your projects and your own lifestyle. So it doesn't matter if shifting your time to work on sex bots or the artificial womb reduces your income. If you're not hedonistic, then what were you going to do with that money anyways? So this is a personal thought from me, because I can see myself with an excess of money. When you combine my IQ and workaholic nature, and the fact that I work in a very high-paying field, and also I am fairly minimalistic, I see myself with a massive surplus of money by the end of my life, and I will need something to sink this money into, because I don't want to die with this money. So those are some ideas on self-actualization and seeking a purpose, instead of just finding hobbies to do to burn your life away. Now, of course, if that is your thing, then go ahead and do it, because it's meant going our own way. But if hobbies is not enough for you, then perhaps this video has given you some ideas. And perhaps if you have some ideas, I would also like to hear them as well. Cheers.